3 months after the Vrexel defeat, Elena stood in the council chamber and watched the galaxy change. The session today was different from all others before it. The topic was simple but profound. What role would humanity play in galactic civilization? We must acknowledge an uncomfortable truth, Admiral Kelkson said, addressing the assembled ambassadors. Humanity saved us. Without their intervention, the Vrexel would have destroyed dozens of colonies and killed millions. Our own forces were helpless. This is precisely the problem, a crystalline elder chimed, its voice like bells. We built our civilization on peace and cooperation. We solved conflicts through dialogue and understanding. Now we have introduced a species whose first instinct is violence. Commander Park stood up from the human delegation. His face was calm, but Elena could see anger in his eyes. Our first instinct is not violence. Our first instinct is survival. There is a difference. Is there? The crystalline challenged. You killed 50,000 Vrexel in 2 weeks. Yes, we did, Park replied. Because they were killing you. We offered them chances to surrender. We broadcast messages in their language asking for peace. They responded by attacking refugee ships, so we stopped them the only way they understood. The debate continued for hours. Some species argued that humanity should be restricted, their military capabilities limited. Others insisted that humanity had proven themselves valuable. A few suggested removing humans from the council entirely, claiming they were too dangerous. Through it all, Eldest Memory remained silent, floating at the edge of the chamber like a distant star. Finally, when the arguments began repeating themselves, the ancient being spoke. This debate is pointless. You are asking the wrong question. The chamber fell silent. When the galaxy's oldest species spoke, everyone listened. You ask whether humanity is too violent, too dangerous, too aggressive. But these questions miss the fundamental truth. The Catharians have shaped this galaxy for 4 million years. We made you peaceful. We made you cooperative. We made you rational. We turned a chaotic universe into a garden. Eldest Memory drifted toward the center of the chamber. And we were wrong. Shocked murmurs rippled through the assembled ambassadors. The Catharians had never admitted error before. We created a galaxy that cannot defend itself, Eldest Memory continued. We bred aggression out of species. We guided you away from conflict. We made war unthinkable. And in doing so, we made you vulnerable. The Vrexel proved this. A single hostile species nearly destroyed what we spent millions of years building. Elena felt her heartbeat quicken. She sensed where this was going. Humanity is different because we could not shape them. They evolved on a world we avoided, developing naturally without our guidance. They retain instincts we bred out of other species. They remember how to hunt, how to fight, how to win against superior enemies. This is not a flaw. This is exactly what the galaxy needs. A Torvian ambassador stood up, its scales flushed with confusion. Are you suggesting we should become more like humans? More violent? No, Eldest Memory said. I am suggesting that a garden needs more than gardeners. It needs guardians. Species that can protect what others have built. Humanity is not here to replace us. They are here to complete us. Sarah Chen rose from her seat. With respect, Eldest Memory, humanity is not some weapon you can point at your enemies. We are a species with our own goals and values. I know, Eldest Memory replied. That is why this will work. You do not hunt for sport or conquest. You hunt to protect. Your entire evolutionary history shows this. Humans form packs, tribes, communities. You defend your group against threats. The question is whether you consider the galaxy your group. Elena stepped forward. You are asking humanity to be the galaxy's military force, to fight battles that other species cannot, or will not fight. I am asking humanity to be what you already are, guardians, protectors, the species that stands between civilization and chaos. The chamber erupted in debate. Some species supported the idea. Others found it offensive. A few were terrified at the thought of giving humans an official role in galactic defense. In the midst of the chaos, Elena's communicator chimed. She checked it and felt her blood run cold. A message from Earth's surveillance network. Multiple hostile contacts detected at the edge of Council space. Unknown species, heavily armed, moving toward populated systems. She stood and raised her voice above the noise. Enough debate. We have a new problem. The tactical display activated, showing the incoming threat. 3 fleets of unknown origin, each larger than the Vrexel invasion force. They were heading directly toward major council worlds. Who are they? Someone asked. Unknown. a military coordinator replied. But their technology is advanced, more advanced than ours, and they are not responding to communication attempts. Elena looked at her crew. Commander Park was already checking his weapon. Sarah was pulling up xenological databases trying to identify the species. Marcus was analyzing their ship signatures. They have been watching the Vrexel situation, Marcus said grimly. They waited to see how we would respond. Now they know the Council cannot defend itself and they are moving in. Terror filled the chamber. This was the nightmare scenario. An advanced hostile species, prepared and organized, attacking a civilization that had forgotten how to wage war. Elena turned to Eldest Memory. Is this why you refused to visit Earth? Because you knew that one day the galaxy would need hunters? No, Eldest Memory said quietly. We refused because we were afraid you would hunt us. We were cowards. We ran from the one species that could protect what we built. That ends today. The ancient being's form pulsed with light. I will visit Earth now, today. I will walk on the world that created the galaxy's greatest predators. I will no longer hide from what I fear. Elena felt a strange mix of emotions. Victory, perhaps, or maybe just recognition. And what do you want from us? Nothing you do not already want. Protect the garden, hunt the threats, do what you were born to do. Commander Park spoke up. And what will the Catharians do? We will return to our role as gardeners. But we will no longer prevent species from remembering how to fight. We will no longer breed away aggression and conflict. A garden that cannot defend itself is not a garden. It is just food waiting to be eaten. Elena made a decision. Council Command, this is Ambassador Vasquez. Earth is deploying our full defensive fleet. We will engage the unknown hostiles and determine their intentions. Other species should evacuate civilians from threatened areas. You cannot face 3 fleets alone, Admiral Kelkson protested. We are not alone, Elena replied. We have the full resources of Earth behind us. And more importantly, we have 4 billion years of evolution teaching us how to hunt. She turned to Eldest Memory. You want to visit Earth? Then come now. See where we evolved. Walk the plains where our ancestors hunted yours. Understand what made us what we are. Because if you are going to rely on humanity to defend the galaxy, you need to understand exactly what you are unleashing. Eldest Memory's form shifted to colors that might have been determination. Agreed, I will accompany you. The trip to Earth took 3 days. Elena watched as Eldest Memory observed human civilization through the ship's sensors. Cities covering continents, orbital stations, military installations, all of it built in just a few thousand years. A blink of an eye in galactic terms. They landed in East Africa, in the same region where Catharian observers had been hunted 75,000 years ago. The place where everything began. Eldest Memory materialized outside the ship, its energy form touching Earth's soil for the first time. The ancient being stood still for a long moment, processing something humans could not sense. This world is dangerous, it finally said. High gravity, extreme weather, aggressive predators still roaming wild. How did humans survive here? By being more dangerous than anything else, Elena replied. She led Eldest Memory to a cliff overlooking the savannah. In the distance, animals grazed. Lions hunted. Life continued as it had for millions of years. Our ancestors stood here, Elena said. They looked at animals faster, stronger, and better armed than they were. And they hunted those animals anyway. Not because they were better predators, because they were smarter, because they could see patterns, because they never gave up. And now you will hunt across the stars, Eldest Memory observed. Yes, but not for ourselves. We learned something important in our evolution. The pack survives by protecting each other. The tribe thrives by defending its members. Humanity may be predators, but we are social predators. We protect our group. Elena turned to face the ancient being. You asked if we consider the galaxy our group. The answer is yes. Not because you made us peaceful like other species, but because we choose to protect those who cannot protect themselves. That is what predators do when they become civilized. They become guardians. Eldest Memory was silent for a long time, watching the sunset paint the African sky in colors of blood and gold. Finally it spoke. I have existed for 1.7 million years. I have seen civilizations rise and fall. I thought I understood everything. But standing here on this dangerous world, I realize I understand nothing about what it means to survive against impossible odds. Then learn, Elena said. The galaxy is about to face impossible odds. Those three fleets are not the last threat we will face. The Vrexel attack spread across 3 star systems like a disease. Reports flooded into Nexus Prime every hour, each one worse than the last. Colony worlds went silent. Trade stations disappeared from communication networks. Refugee ships fled in panic, carrying stories of an enemy that showed no mercy. Elena stood in the council war room, watching holographic displays that showed the advancing Vrexel forces. The creatures were nightmares made real. They looked like massive insects covered in black armor, each one the size of a small vehicle. They traveled in swarms of thousands, their ships crude but effective, built for one purpose: destruction. They are overwhelming our defensive positions, Admiral Kelkson of the Torvian fleet reported. Its blue scales had turned pale with stress. We sent 3 peacekeeping fleets. They destroyed 2 completely. The third retreated with heavy casualties. How is this possible? Avrelian General demanded. We have advanced technology. We have shields and energy weapons. How are these primitives defeating us? Commander Park studied the battle recordings. You are fighting them like you fight each other. With honor, with rules, with the expectation that your enemy will behave rationally. The Vrexel do not care about honor. They use suicide attacks. They sacrifice entire ships to destroy your formations. They are not trying to win battles. They are trying to kill as many of you as possible. Barbaric, someone muttered. Effective, Park corrected. You have forgotten how to fight wars because you have not had wars in 10,000 years. The Vrexel never stopped fighting. It is all they know. Elena watched Earth's response fleet appear on the display. It was small compared to the Council forces. Only 30 ships, most of them outdated by galactic standards. But those ships were crewed by humans who remembered war. Earth had unified only 100 years ago after centuries of conflict. The species that had hunted invisible aliens with stone tools now had guns, missiles, and nuclear weapons. Admiral Chen is in command, Elena said, referring to Sarah Chen's uncle, a veteran of Earth's last major conflict. He will coordinate with Council forces. The human fleet arrived at the battle zone within days. Elena watched from Nexus Prime as Admiral Kwame Chen assessed the situation. His face appeared on the display, dark skin lined with age and experience, eyes sharp and calculating. Council Command, this is Admiral Chen. I have reviewed your battle reports. Your tactics are inadequate. You are engaging the Vrexel in direct combat, which is exactly what they want. Permission to implement alternative strategies? Admiral Kellickson hesitated. What kind of strategies? The kind that win wars. Over the next week, humanity showed the galaxy something it had forgotten. Admiral Chen did not send his ships to fight the Vrexel directly. Instead, he studied them. He watched their attack patterns. He analyzed their communication frequencies. He tracked their supply lines. They are a hive species, Commander Park explained to the Council, pointing at data his analysts had collected. They appear chaotic, but they are actually highly organized. Somewhere in their fleet is a queen ship, a central command vessel that coordinates all Vrexel forces. Find it, destroy it, and the entire swarm collapses. But the queen ship is cloaked, Admiral Kelkson protested. We have been searching for it for 2 weeks. Our sensors cannot penetrate their cloaking technology. A human intelligence officer named Lieutenant Maria Santos spoke up. Then we do not look for the ship itself. We look for what is missing. She brought up a tactical map of Vrexel movements. See these attack patterns? The Vrexel swarms always leave this region of space empty. No ships pass through it. No attacks originate from it. There is a hole in their formation. Empty space means nothing, a crystalline tactician chimed. It could be random chance. Humans do not believe in random chance, Maria replied. We evolved to see patterns. When prey animals avoid an area, it means a predator is there. When Vrexel ships avoid an area, it means something important is there. The queen ship is hiding in that nebula, protected by the very emptiness around it. Eldest Memory observed from the edge of the war room. Its energy form pulsed with what might have been recognition. You are hunting them, just like your ancestors hunted us. You see what should not be seen. Elena nodded. Persistence predators do not chase fast prey by running faster. We track it by predicting where it will go. We are doing the same thing now, just on a larger scale. Admiral Chen implemented his strategy. He did not attack the nebula directly, which would alert the queen ship. Instead, he did something the Council found strange. He started broadcasting false information, Human ships sent fake distress signals pretending to be vulnerable. They reported false positions for council fleets, making them appear exposed. They created the illusion of easy targets all around the nebula. The Vrexel took the bait. Swarms diverted to attack the false targets, pulling ships away from the nebula. The pattern of empty space became more obvious, like an eye in a storm. "Now we know exactly where the Queen ship is," Admiral Chen said with satisfaction. "But we cannot attack it directly. Their shields are too strong, and they will flee if we approach." "Then how do we destroy it?" Admiral Kellickson asked. "We do not destroy it. We make it destroy itself." Human specialists hacked into Vrexel communication networks. It took them 36 hours of continuous work, but they finally cracked the code. The Vrexel used pheromone-based signals, chemical messages that triggered instinctive responses. "We are going to broadcast false queen pheromones," Marcus Webb explained. He had been called in from Earth specifically for this task. The Vrexel swarms will receive conflicting orders. Some will tell them to attack. Others will tell them to retreat. They will not know which queen to follow. They will fight each other, Sarah Chen added. She had also joined the military effort, providing xenological expertise. Hive species with multiple queens become violent. It is instinct. They will tear each other apart trying to determine which queen is real. The plan was executed. Human ships broadcast the false pheromones. Within hours, Vrexel swarms began attacking each other. Ships that had worked together minutes before now fired on their allies. The organized invasion collapsed into chaos. While the Vrexel fought themselves, human ships moved toward the nebula. They did not use energy weapons, which the Vrexel shields could deflect. Instead, they used something the galaxy considered primitive: railguns. These weapons fired dense metal slugs at incredible speeds using electromagnetic force. They were crude, simple, and ancient by galactic standards. Most species had abandoned them millions of years ago in favor of elegant energy weapons. But metal slugs did not care about energy shields. They punched through the Vrexel defenses like paper. The Queen ship tried to flee, but human ships had surrounded the nebula. There was nowhere to run. Railgun fire tore through its hull. Secondary explosions rippled across the massive vessel. Within minutes it was destroyed. Without the Queen ship's coordination, the remaining Vrexel forces collapsed completely. Swarms scattered in random directions. Some fled back to their homeworld. Others simply stopped fighting, drifting in space like machines that had lost power. The battle was over. The Council had won, but it was a human victory. Elena stood in the Council chamber days later, watching ambassadors congratulate each other on the successful defense. But she noticed something else. The way other species looked at humans now. There was gratitude, yes, but also fear. A Mantid ambassador approached her quietly. "Your species killed 50,000 Vrexel in 2 weeks. Council forces killed maybe 5,000 in the same time, and you only lost 47 soldiers." Elena nodded. "We are efficient. You are terrifying," the ambassador clicked. "Do you understand what you showed us? You showed us that all our advanced technology, all our millions of years of development, mean nothing against a species that knows how to hunt." Across the chamber, Eldest Memory floated near a window staring out at the stars. Elena walked over to join it. "You were right to fear us," Elena said quietly. "We are predators. We see patterns other species cannot see. We find weaknesses and exploit them. We never stop hunting until our prey is dead." "I know," Eldest Memory replied. "The question now is whether you will hunt us." Elena was silent for a moment. Then she smiled, and there was something predatory in that smile. Something that reminded Eldest Memory of those Stone Age humans who had tracked invisible observers across ancient Africa. "That depends," Elena said. "Are you prey or are you pack?" Eldest Memory's energy form shifted through colors that might have been surprise or respect. "That," it said slowly, "is the wisest question anyone has asked me in 1,000,000 years." Nexus Prime was in chaos when Elena's ship docked. News of the unauthorized visit to Keeper 7 had spread through the Council faster than light itself. Ambassadors from hundreds of species crowded the main chamber, their voices creating a storm of sound that shook the walls. Elena walked into the chamber with her crew behind her. Every eye, sensor, and optical organ turned toward them. The noise died away, replaced by tense silence. In the center of the chamber, something impossible hovered. A Catharian had come in person for the first time in recorded history. The being was magnificent and terrifying. It was pure energy shaped into a vaguely humanoid form, constantly shifting and flowing like liquid light. Colors humanity had no names for rippled across its surface. The air around it crackled with power. This was a species that had evolved beyond physical bodies 2 million years ago, ascending to something closer to pure consciousness. I am eldest memory, the being spoke, its voice resonating in everyone's minds rather than through sound. I have existed for 1.7 million years. I have witnessed the rise and fall of 10,000 civilizations. I have never attended this council in physical form because I saw no reason to do so. The energy being drifted closer to Elena. She forced herself to stand firm, even though every instinct told her to run. Until now, eldest memory continued. Ambassador Vasquez, you have committed a serious crime. You violated Catharian space. You accessed classified information. You could be expelled from the council and your species with you. Elena's throat was dry, but she spoke clearly. I apologize for breaking your laws, but I needed to know the truth. Why does the galaxy's oldest species fear Earth? What did my ancestors do that made you run away? Murmurs spread through the chamber. Other ambassadors leaned forward, suddenly very interested. This was apparently a question many had wondered about but never dared to ask. Eldest memory was silent for a long moment. Colors shifted across its form, patterns that might have been emotions in a species that no longer had faces. Very well, it finally said. I will explain. But I will explain only to humanity. The rest of the council may listen, but this truth is primarily for you to understand. Holographic displays materialized throughout the chamber, showing images of ancient Earth. Eldest memory began its story. We Catharians have a role in the galaxy. We are the gardeners. For 4 million years, we have traveled to worlds where intelligence is beginning to emerge. We watch, we guide, we protect young species from extinction events. We leave small hints and clues that lead them toward civilization. We have nurtured hundreds of species toward the stars. Images float across the displays, showing the Catharians helping various species. Here they diverted an asteroid from a populated world. There they left advanced tools near a primitive settlement. Everywhere they went, they pushed species toward peace, cooperation, and rational thought. Our methods are proven, eldest memory said. Species we guide become peaceful, logical, and cooperative. They join the galactic community as productive members. War becomes rare. Aggression fades. The galaxy becomes more civilized with each species we help. More images appeared showing the modern council species, all peaceful, all rational, all working together in harmony. Then we found Earth. The displays shifted to show primitive humans 950,000 years ago. Elena recognized the images from the archive. Humanity comes from what we classify as a death world. High gravity, extreme climate shifts, aggressive predators. But this alone is not unique. 17 species in this council come from harsh worlds. The displays showed various alien homeworlds, each brutal in its own way. What makes Earth unique is what humanity evolved from. You are persistence predators. Eldest memory projected new images. Ancient human ancestors running across African plains following wounded prey. The humans ran for hours, then days, never stopping. The prey animal, faster and stronger, eventually collapsed from exhaustion. The humans, slower but relentless, caught up and killed it. Do you understand what this means? Eldest memory asked. Humans evolved to hunt by tracking prey across impossible distances. You learned to read tiny signs, bent grass, disturbed dirt, drops of blood. You learned to predict behavior, to know where your prey would go before it went there. You learned to see patterns that other species cannot see. A Vrelian ambassador, who looked like a large blue bear, spoke up. Many species are predators. This is normal evolution. Why does this make humans special? Because, eldest memory said, and its voice grew heavy with something like fear. Humans are not just predators. They are predators who evolved to hunt prey smarter, faster, and stronger than themselves. Their entire evolutionary advantage is seeing the invisible and catching the uncatchable. The displays showed more images. Human hunters tracking animals by the way birds flew overhead, predicting where water sources were by watching how plants grew, finding prey by noticing what was absent rather than what was present. 75,000 years ago we made a mistake. Eldest memory continued. We established an observation post in East Africa. We used our best cloaking technology, perfected over millions of years. We were completely invisible. No primitive species should have been able to detect us. The recording from the archive played on the displays. The council watched in silence as Stone Age humans systematically hunted the invisible observation post. When it ended, the chamber erupted in shocked whispers. They had no technology, a crystalline ambassador said, its voice chiming with disbelief. How did they see you? They did not see us directly, Eldest Memory explained. They saw everything around us. They noticed that animals avoided a certain area. They felt temperature changes our equipment created. They observed that rain behaved strangely near our cloaking field. They hunted us the way their ancestors hunted mammoths, by seeing patterns in chaos. Commander Park stepped forward. We are persistence predators, he said. We evolved to track prey that should escape us. We chase it not for hours, but for days. We read signs that other species cannot read. We never give up. Once we identify prey, we follow it until it dies or we do. Yes, Eldest Memory said quietly. And 75,000 years ago you identified us as prey. Stone Age humans, barely civilized with tools made of stone and wood, hunted beings who had traveled between stars for millions of years. We became afraid. A mantid ambassador clicked its mandibles. But surely modern humans are different. You have moved beyond hunting. You have civilization, art, philosophy. Sarah Chen spoke up. We have all those things, yes. But our hunting instinct never disappeared. It just adapted. Look at human history. Every time we face an enemy more advanced than us, we find ways to win. We invented guerrilla warfare, where small groups defeat large armies. We invented espionage, where we track invisible enemies through tiny clues. We invented code breaking, where we see patterns in seemingly random data. Marcus Webb added, a human mathematician cracked the Catharian database encryption in 50 years. Your own experts said it should take 10,000 years to break. We saw patterns you designed to be invisible. Eldest Memory's form pulsed with colors. Exactly. You are a species built to overcome enemies who should defeat you. Your entire civilization is designed around one concept: how to beat opponents who are bigger, stronger, smarter, and better equipped. Elena felt something click in her mind. You're afraid that if you visit Earth, we will start hunting you again. Not with spears, but with our minds. We will analyze you, learn your weaknesses, find patterns in your behavior. Yes, Eldest Memory admitted. We can guide species. We can nurture them toward civilization. But we cannot guide predators who see us as prey. Every species we have helped accepted our guidance with gratitude. Humans would resist, analyze our methods, and eventually hunt us. A long silence filled the chamber. The implications settled over the council like a heavy blanket. A young Torvian ambassador, barely into adulthood, asked a question that made everyone uncomfortable. Should humanity be on this council? If they cannot be guided, if they resist the natural order, are they safe to have among us? Before anyone could answer, alarms blared throughout the station. Emergency broadcasts lit up every screen. Urgent message from the quarantine zone. A mechanical voice announced, Drexel 9 has been breached. The hostile species has achieved spaceflight. Multiple colonies under attack. Casualties mounting. Defense forces overwhelmed. All council members requested to provide aid immediately. Chaos erupted. Ambassadors shouted over each other. The Vrexel were a nightmare species from a death world. They had nearly destroyed themselves in endless wars. The galaxy had quarantined their planet 10,000 years ago, hoping they would either evolve toward peace or destroy themselves completely. Instead, they had just broken free. Our defense forces are not prepared for this, a military coordinator announced, its voice panicked. We have peacekeeping ships, not warships. We have negotiators, not soldiers. The Vrexel are slaughtering everyone who approaches them. Eldest Memory turned to Elena. Its form pulsed with colors that might have been resignation, or perhaps understanding. Perhaps, it said softly. This is why you exist. Elena looked at her crew. Commander Park nodded. Sarah and Marcus both straightened their shoulders. Earth will respond, Elena said firmly. Give us the coordinates. We will handle this. The small ship moved silently through space, its engines barely glowing. Elena sat in the pilot seat, her hand steady on the controls despite her racing heart. Behind her, 3 other humans checked their equipment. They were all volunteers, all willing to risk everything to learn the truth. Commander James Park was former military, a man who had spent 20 years in Earth's Space Defense Force. Dr. Sarah Chen was a xenoarchaeologist who specialized in ancient civilizations. Tech specialist Marcus Webb was the youngest, barely 30, but he could hack almost any system in the galaxy. They had left Nexus Prime 3 days ago, telling no one where they were going. If anyone discovered their destination, the mission would end before it began. Approaching Keeper 7, Marcus announced from his station. The planet is protected by automated defense systems. I am trying to make us invisible to their sensors. Elena watched as the archive world grew larger on the view screen. It was a gray planet, covered in massive structures that looked like enormous libraries. The Catharians stored their entire history here. 4 million years of knowledge preserved in physical and digital form. Defense systems are not detecting us, Marcus said with relief. Human stealth technology actually works against Catharian sensors. They design their security for their own level of technology, not for something more primitive. They landed on the dark side of the planet, hiding their ship in a deep canyon. The team suited up and moved toward the nearest archive structure. The building was massive, stretching kilometers into the sky. Its walls were smooth and metallic, covered in symbols that glowed faintly. According to the database I pulled from Nexus Prime, Sarah said, studying her datapad. The archives are organized chronologically and by subject. Contemporary species should be in the western wing. They found an entry port. Marcus worked quickly, his fingers dancing over a holographic interface. After 10 minutes, the door slid open with a soft hiss. Inside, the archive was like a cathedral of information. Vast halls stretched in every direction, lined with data storage units that hummed quietly. Holographic displays floated in the air, showing images and text in thousands of languages. This way, Sarah said, leading them deeper into the structure. They walked for nearly an hour, passing sections devoted to ancient history, extinct species, and civilizations that rose and fell millions of years before Earth formed. Finally, they reached the contemporary species wing. Sarah searched for Earth's section. She frowned, checked again, then looked at Elena with confusion. Earth is not here, she said. It is not filed with contemporary species. Then where is it? Commander Park asked, his hand resting on his sidearm. He did not expect to use it, but old habits were hard to break. Sarah worked her datapad, searching the archive's index system. Her eyes widened. I found it. Earth is filed under archaeological sites of critical interest. That makes no sense. That section is for extinct species and ancient ruins. They hurried to the new location, their footsteps echoing in the empty halls. When they found Earth's section, they all stopped and stared. The file was enormous. It occupied an entire room, filled with data storage units, holographic displays, and physical artifacts. This was not just a record. This was an obsession. Sarah began pulling up files. The earliest entries were dated 950,000 years ago. They visited Earth nearly 1 million years ago, she whispered, long before human civilization. Before agriculture, before cities, before written language. Elena moved to another display. She saw surveillance images of ancient Africa. Primitive humans moved across the landscape, hunting animals with stone tools. They looked almost like modern humans, but not quite. Homo heidelbergensis, she thought, or maybe early Homo sapiens. They were watching us evolve, Marcus said from across the room. Look at these records. They came back every few thousand years, documenting changes in human behavior, biology, and social structure. Commander Park found a section labeled Observation Protocols. He opened it and began reading. His face grew serious. The Catharians were not just watching, he said. They were conducting experiments. Small ones, subtle ones. They left tools in certain locations to see if humans would find them. They created food sources to study how human societies adapted. They were guiding human evolution. Elena felt anger rising in her chest. The Catharians had manipulated humanity's development. They had treated humans like laboratory animals. Wait, Sarah said urgently. The records stop. Look, regular observation reports every few thousand years for nearly 1 million years, and then nothing. The last entry is dated 75,000 years ago. Elena moved to Sarah's side. The final report was flagged with multiple warnings. Sarah opened it and a holographic display materialized in front of them. They watched a recording from 75,000 years ago. It showed a Catharian observation post in what looked like East Africa. The post was cloaked and visible to normal sight, hidden by technology so advanced it bent light and sound around itself. In the recording, a group of early humans approached the area. They were primitive by modern standards, wearing animal skins and carrying stone spears. They should not have known the observation post existed, but they did. The humans spread out in a coordinated pattern. They did not look directly at the cloaked post, but they moved around it like hunters surrounding prey. One human bent down and touched the ground, feeling something the others could not see. Another tilted his head, listening to sounds that should not exist. They were tracking something invisible. How is this possible? Marcus breathed. They have no technology, no sensors, no equipment. How can they detect a cloaked observation post? The recording continued. The humans closed in. One of them threw a spear. It hit nothing, passing through empty air. But where it landed, dust kicked up in a pattern that should not occur naturally. The humans saw this. They adjusted their approach. Another human picked up dirt and threw it into the air. When it settled, it outlined something invisible, revealing the faint shape of the observation post's energy field. They are not detecting the post directly, Commander Park said slowly. They are hunting it by reading the environment. Look, they watch how animals avoid the area. They feel changes in air temperature. They notice that rain does not fall in a certain spot. They are tracking the absence of normal patterns. The recording showed Catharian observers inside the post, their forms visible through internal cameras. They appeared agitated, their energy patterns flickering rapidly. Then one human did something unexpected. He sat down in front of the invisible post and began drawing in the dirt with a stick. The image he drew was crude but recognizable. It showed the Catharian body structure, the flowing energy form that the humans should not be able to see. A Catharian voice spoke in the recording, the translator rendering it into English. They know we are here. They have always known. Every observation post we established, they found eventually. They do not have our technology, but they have something else. They have eyes that see what should not be seen. They have minds that find patterns in chaos. We thought we were studying them, but they were studying us. Another voice, older and more frightened. We must leave. We must never return. Place Earth on the interdiction list. Forbid all Catharians from approaching their world. Why? A younger voice asked. They are primitive. They cannot threaten us. They are predators, the older voice replied. The greatest predators this galaxy has ever produced. They do not hunt with claws or fangs. They hunt with their minds. They track, they analyze, they never stop pursuing once they identify prey. We have been their prey for thousands of years, and we never realized it until now. The recording ended. The final log entry appeared as text. Observation protocol violated. Species cognizant of surveillance. Recommendation, complete interdiction. Do not return. They see us. They should not be able to see us, but they do. The team stood in silence, processing what they had witnessed. Ancient humans, barely civilized, had hunted the galaxy's oldest species. Not with weapons, but with observation, patience, and an ability to see patterns that should be invisible. Suddenly, alarms shrieked through the archive. Red lights flashed. Security detected us, Marcus shouted. We need to leave now. They ran through the halls, retracing their path. Behind them, they heard the hum of Catharian security drones activating. The team burst out of the building and sprinted toward their ship. They launched just as energy beams lit up the canyon around them. The ship shook but held together. Marcus pushed the engines to maximum, and they broke through the atmosphere into space. Multiple Catharian ships approaching, Commander Park reported. We cannot outrun them. Elena made a decision. Broadcast our identification. Tell them we are returning to Nexus Prime and will report to the Council immediately. The Catharian ships followed but did not fire. A transmission came through, the voice cold and ancient. You should not have learned this. Report to Nexus Prime immediately. The Council will decide your fate. Elena closed the channel. She looked at her crew. We found the truth, she said quietly. Now we have to make the galaxy understand it. Ambassador Elena Vasquez stood in the grand chamber of Nexus Prime, watching hundreds of alien delegates float, crawl, and walk through the massive space station. She had been Earth's representative to the Galactic Council for 3 years now, but the sight still took her breath away. Beings made of crystal conversed with 8-legged creatures covered in purple fur. A blob of sentient liquid debated with something that looked like a floating jellyfish made of pure light. Humanity was the newest member of the Council. 50 years ago, the first alien ship had appeared above Earth and everything changed. Humans learned they were not alone. They learned the galaxy was full of civilizations, some millions of years old. They learned that 847 different species worked together in peace and cooperation. Elena walked toward her assigned seat, her shoes clicking on the metal floor. Other ambassadors greeted her warmly. The galaxy had welcomed humanity with open arms, almost everyone anyway. She glanced at the far corner of the chamber where a shimmering hologram floated alone, the Catharian representative. They never sent anyone in person. Always just a hologram, a projection of light and sound. Elena found this strange because the Catharians were the oldest species in the galaxy. They had existed for 4.2 million years. They had seen civilizations rise and fall like waves on a beach. The council meeting began. Representatives discussed trade routes, scientific discoveries, and cultural exchanges. Elena listened carefully, still learning the complex politics of galactic civilization. When her turn came to speak, she stood and addressed the chamber. Earth wishes to propose a cultural exchange program, she said clearly. We would like to invite representatives from each council species to visit our homeworld. We want to share our art, our music, our history with all of you. Murmurs of approval rippled through the chamber. Species after species voiced their enthusiasm. The crystalline beings chimed musical notes of agreement. The purple-furred creatures clicked their mandibles happily. Everyone seemed excited about visiting Earth, everyone except the Catharians. The hologram flickered. A voice emerged, ancient and distant like wind through a canyon. The Catharian collective respectfully declines this invitation. Silence fell over the chamber. Elena felt hundreds of eyes, stalks, and optical sensors turned toward her. She cleared her throat. May I ask why? Elena said, keeping her voice polite. The Catharians have visited nearly every homeworld in the council. We have records showing your people have conducted cultural exchanges with 782 different species. Why not Earth? The hologram flickered again, more violently this time. For a moment, Elena thought she saw something in the distortion. Fear? Anxiety? Could a species millions of years old feel such emotions? Earth is classified under special circumstances, the Catharian voice said. We cannot provide additional information at this time. The session ended shortly after. As delegates filed out, Elena noticed many avoided looking at her. Something was wrong. Something about Earth made the galaxy's oldest species uncomfortable, and nobody wanted to talk about it. Elena returned to her private quarters on the station. She immediately began searching the council database. Humanity had been granted access to most historical records when they joined 50 years ago. She pulled up files on the Catharians. The information was incredible. The Catharians had evolved on a world called Keeper Prime over 4 million years ago. They had achieved spaceflight when humans were still primitive apes. They had visited thousands of worlds, documenting countless species. They had archaeological sites on planets across the galaxy, some dating back millions of years. Elena searched for Earth in their database. Her fingers moved quickly across the holographic interface. She found files on planets near Earth. She found files on planets in the same galactic arm. She found detailed surveys of worlds humanity had never even heard of, but when she searched for Earth specifically, she found only one entry. Data restricted. Her heart beat faster. She dug deeper, using advanced search protocols. She found something, buried in an obscure subsection of historical records. A list titled Interdiction Protocol, Worlds Under Special Classification. Only 3 worlds were on this list. One was Vrexel 9, a quarantined death world where a hostile species had nearly destroyed themselves in endless warfare. Another was Plague World 77, where a biological weapon had killed 99% of all life. The third world was Earth. Elena sat back in her chair, her mind racing. Earth was grouped with nightmare worlds, with places so dangerous the galaxy had agreed never to interfere. It made no sense. Humanity wasn't perfect, but they weren't genocidal monsters or plague carriers. A soft chime interrupted her thoughts. Someone was requesting entry to her quarters. Elena checked the security screen. It showed a mantis-like creature standing outside, its green exoskeleton gleaming under the station lights. She recognized Zixthar, a researcher from the Mantid Collective. They had spoken a few times at social functions. Elena opened the door. Zixthar scuttled inside quickly, its compound eyes darting left and right. "I should not be here," Zixthar clicked, its translator rendering the sounds into English. "But I overheard your question in the council chamber. I think you deserve to know something." "Know what?" Elena asked. "The Catharians do not just refuse to visit Earth," Zixthar said, its antennae twitching nervously. "They are afraid of your world. Terrified, actually." "Afraid? Of what?" "We're barely 50 years into space travel. The Catharians have been exploring the galaxy since before humans existed." Zixthar moved closer, lowering its voice even though they were alone. 6 months ago, I was working in the historical archives. I found an old Catharian report. Something that should have been classified, but someone misfiled it. The report was about Earth. It said the Catharians had visited your world many times in your ancient past. Elena's breath caught. When? How long ago? Hundreds of thousands of years ago, maybe longer. The report was incomplete. But it mentioned something called an observation incident. Whatever happened, it made the Catharians decide never to return. They placed Earth on the interdiction list and forbade any Catharian from approaching your solar system. What happened in this incident? The file did not say. But at the bottom, there was a single sentence that I remember exactly. Zixthar's voice dropped to barely a whisper. It said they should not have been able to see us. We were invisible, but they hunted us anyway. Before Elena could respond, Zixthar turned and scuttled quickly out the door, disappearing down the corridor. Elena stood frozen in her quarters. Hunted? Humans hunted the Catharians. Ancient humans, thousands of years before civilization, somehow detected and tracked beings millions of years more advanced. Her computer chimed. An anonymous message appeared on her screen. No sender information, no signature. Just coordinates to a location in deep space and a brief message. Keeper 7, the archive world. The truth about Earth is there. They do not fear what humanity is. They fear what humanity did. Elena stared at the coordinates for a long time. Going to Keeper 7 would be illegal. The Catharian archive worlds were off limits to other species. If she went, she could be expelled from the council. Earth could lose its seat in galactic civilization. But she had to know. Why did the galaxy's oldest, wisest species refuse to visit Earth? What had ancient humans done that terrified beings who had seen everything? Elena began planning her journey. She would need a ship, a small crew, and a lot of luck. She would find the truth no matter the cost. Outside her window, the stars glittered like distant questions waiting to be answered.